What's up, Dallas, Fort Worth? Give it up for the Dallas, Fort Worth Yang Gang! We are so happy all of you guys are here. I'm so excited. I remember the very first Dallas Yang Gang event we ever had. It was the CNN Town Hall watch party at this little coffee shop. And I remember when Andrew Yang was blowing up on my radar, I joined the Facebook group and I was like, hey, does anyone want to have a watch party? Is anyone organizing that? And no one said anything. So I was like, okay, all right, doesn't sound like there's a Yang Gang, all right. And I said, if just 2 people express interest in starting and doing a watch party, I'll go ahead and organize it. And then exactly 2 people responded. So I said, okay, now I got the 2 people I need, so let's go ahead and do it. So I put the Facebook event up, I reserved the room, we got the TV, my brothers let us borrow their truck to get a TV in there, and 25 strangers showed up for our very first Dallas Yang Gang. And a lot of people ask me, how did I get, why did I get started? I've never been, raise your hand if you've ever done politics before. Oh, sorry, no, raise your hand if you've never done politics before. There you go. And so that was me. I voted, I had my opinions on social media, but I didn't get involved. And the reason I didn't get involved was because, well, the reason I got involved now is because I still don't feel like I'm doing politics. It still feels like I'm actually solving problems. It actually feels like I'm making a difference. And that's why I'm here, and that's why the Yang Gang is here. And I could not... A lot of people think that I run the whole show, but it's not true. All of the people here are the people who lead the 5 Yang Gangs in this Metroplex alone. We have the Dallas Yang Gang, Kennedy, Longston, Hisham, Syed. We meet, if you live here in DFW, if you live in Dallas, you're gonna meet these beautiful faces every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. at a place called La La Land Kind Cafe. By the way, do you guys get one of these papers? Who has one of these papers? Do not leave, if you live in DFW, do not leave without one of these papers. It has all of our weekly recurring events on them. So if you want to get involved after tonight, get one of these papers, follow us on social media, has our contact information and has the contact information of these Yang Gang leaders. So we have in Dallas, we have a coffee social every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. at La La Land Kind Cafe. And starting next Wednesday, we are going to have a phone banking, text banking party. So if you want to make a big change, who wants us to who wants us to win the early states? So if you want us to win in the early states, join the Dallas Yang Gang on Wednesday for our next phone banking, text banking party. Find it at dallasYangGang.com and follow us on social media for those details. All right, next up we have the FW in DFW, the Fort Worth Yang Gang. Ket, Ariad, and Jessica. So Jessica and Ket, they run the Fort Worth Yang Gang. They meet every Monday, is that right? No, Saturday, 11 a.m. Again, all the details are here on the paper. So they are going to have their meetups every week, which includes tomorrow morning. So if you live in Tarrant County, find these faces tomorrow morning in Fort Worth. They're also going to be active in the Martin Luther King Day Parade. What month? In January. So join these guys for the Martin Luther King Day Parade in January, and they're also going to be reaching out to the local Tarrant County Democratic clubs and colleges. And overpass signs. So a lot of things are going on. Get with the Fort Worth Yang Gang if you live in Tarrant County. Next up, we have the Denton Yang Gang. Taylor Gilley, Deja Ellis. I am so happy with the Denton Yang Gang because if you follow our social media, Denton Yang Gang is one of the most active on our social media accounts. Who recognizes Deja from Twitter? So they meet every Monday, 7 p.m. at the Jupiter House Coffee, 7 p.m., right? And they do a lot of activities. They do canvassing, they do sign walking. So if you want to meet these beautiful faces, join them every Monday, 7 p.m., including this Monday, right? Right, so see Denton Yang Gang. Next up, we have the Collin County Yang Gang. Tony Yen and Ken Moore. Tony Yen and Ken Moore, they have their meetup every Monday night, 7 p.m. at 5th Street Pizza. So if you want to have a good pizza and meet the Yang Gang, hook up with these guys every Monday, 7 p.m. We also have, and so if you look around this room, you see this beautiful venue. I can't have done this alone. I could not have done it without my Yang Gang. I could not have done it without Laura Kwan. Laura Kwan got this place. Everything you see around you is because of the people behind me. I did nothing alone, and I couldn't do it without them. And why are we here? Because of who? Andrew Yang! Are you ready to see him? Let's make some noise for the next President of the United States, Andrew Yang!
What a beautiful gathering of human beings, am I right? You know, hearing Hexel talk about the Yang Gang from DFW, the Yang Gang from Austin, how many of you saw the movie The Warriors in the late 70s, early 80s? You know what I'm talking about? That's what it reminded me of. This is like a gang summit. And it's just the most wholesome gang summit you've ever seen. And what did Cyrus say in The Warriors? My first time doing this, but I'm gonna try it. Can you dig it, Yang Gang? Can you dig it? Can you dig it? If you have no idea what I just did, you can just YouTube it later. It's like Warriors, Cyrus. Shaquille O'Neal celebrated the Lakers championship victory that way, and we're gonna celebrate our victory in the 2020 election in grand fashion. And hearing about the humble beginnings of the Yang Gang here in Dallas-Fort Worth is so touching. A few people get together, watch a CNN town hall. I remember that town hall. That was months ago, and every day, every week, the Yang Gang has grown and grown and grown to the point where I stand before you right now, number 5 in the polls. And how the heck did I become number 5? It was certainly not because the media anointed me. It was certainly not because the company said, this is gonna be our guy. It was because of you and the people here in America that said we can do better for ourselves. And that is the great mystery to me. Why do people overlook the fact that this is truly the grassroots campaign of the people in 2020? We need people to wake up to the fact that we're in the greatest economic transformation in our country's history. The 4th Industrial Revolution. When's the last time you heard a politician even say the words 4th Industrial Revolution? Just now. Politician. And I have noticed something, you've noticed it too. I said to a journalist a little while ago, I said, I'm either gonna win this whole thing or the other candidates are gonna sound a whole lot like me by the time we're done. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm hearing a lot of very Andrew Yang things coming out of the mouths of other candidates. Yeah. I gotta say, you look up and you're like, wow, that sounds really familiar. You could at least wait until I'm off stage before you start ripping my lines. We're in the midst of this economic transformation, We are gutting so many jobs, and I know, first let me ask you all this. How many of you have seen me speak before in some context? All right, how many of you have never seen me speak even online before, and you're here because you're like Yang curious? Yeah. All right, it's virtually... All right, I have to say, looking around this room of over 1,000 people, there were about 6 hands that have not seen me. Let's try to, literally like 12. So I'm gonna ask those 12 people, you can just go home and Google So I'm not going to do like the customary stump. What I want to do is I want to talk to the people who've been here, who spent your hard-earned money, your time. Time's the most valuable commodity any of us has, your time. How many of you drove more than 2 hours to be here today? Yeah, look at that. Look at that. That's a commitment. You know what I mean? San Antonio. So you know the message, you know how we're going through this economic transformation, how Amazon is sucking up $20 billion in value every single year. And how much is Amazon paying in taxes? 0! And we are the people that are going to change that. You have to look around, you have to say, how the heck can $1 trillion tech company be paying 0 in taxes? Who thinks that makes any sense? And you go on Capitol Hill and you don't see them being like, oh, we should put a stop to this. And we all know why. It's because DC has been bought and sold time and time again by these corporate interests. We look up and we see the pipes just clogged full of money. And most Americans look up in despair and think there's nothing I can do about it. The brutal truth is there's not a lot any of them individually can do about it, but we can do something about it. Am I right? You can do something about it. We are 7 weeks away from an election that can change the course of history. And the great thing about this movement is it's been completely grassroots. It is growing all the time. We're going to grow and grow, and we're going to peak just when the voting starts on February 3rd. I love you too. Thanks to you all putting your hard-earned money behind the campaign in increments of only $30 each, so thank you for that. If you've given more than $30, you're an above-average member of the Yang Gang. And I know there are a lot of you out there. I appreciate the heck out of it. I joke that my fans are almost as cheap as Bernie's. When I saw Bernie at the last debate in Atlanta, I said to him, I said, hey, thank you, Bernie, for telling, because he told a journalist he liked me. And I was touched by that. I was like, I'd been around him a dozen times before, and I had no idea he likes me. So I said to him, I was like, oh, thank you for saying something nice to me, nice about me to the journalist. And he puts his arm around me and says, of course I like you, Andrew. You bring a lot of good ideas to the table. And I have to say, like, I felt this swell of pride. I was like, I felt like Bernie just knighted me or blessed me. But just like Bernie's a man of the people, just like it was all grassroots funding, we raised $10 million last quarter thanks to you all. And that was a shock to the political system. They said, how the heck, this guy that came out of nowhere raised $10 million in grassroots donations. And I've got news for you, Yang Gang. They have not seen anything yet. Because if Q3 was a shock to the system, wait till they see Q4. Oh, it's so much fun. We are growing when other campaigns are shrinking. We are scaling up when other people are leaving the field. And we have our eyes on the prize. Sometimes I get asked, Andrew, are you surprised to be doing so well? And I say, no, I'm not at all, because I have been paying attention. We know that the government has been decades behind the curve in solving our problems for years. We know that the incentives in Washington have nothing to do with our quality of life or our way of life. If we fail, they succeed. Their success has nothing to do with our way of life anymore. Washington, D.C. is right now the richest metro area in the United States. What do they produce? No one knows. Heck, they don't even know. Yeah, they do like the money, it's true. So we've been paying attention, we know, and I think it was Hexel who just said, he said he already asked this question, but I had my head behind the curtain, so I didn't see the answer. How many have not been involved with politics before? Raise your hands on that. Yeah. So that's what's powering this movement, because there are a lot of people just like us that have just been fed up with politics as usual, think that politicians having the same nonsense arguments over and over again is not going to get us anywhere. I knew that there were millions of Americans just like us, and that is why I am not surprised to be here at all. But I will say, the better we do in this campaign, the greedier I get. I mean, it's not enough to make the debate stage. It's not enough to mainstream the discussion about the fourth industrial revolution for all to see. It's not even enough to beat half a dozen sitting senators and governors and Congress people. None of this is enough, Yang Gang. We have a chance to make history and win this whole thing. And here's how we're gonna win it. This is the fun thing. There's a saying that amateurs talk about strategy. What do professionals talk about? Logistics. That's right. That's right. There are all these people sitting at home being like, oh, I wish things were better. Oh, well. And then they turn away, right? You know, that is not you all. That is not us. This is a team of action. We know that we have to get ourselves in front of other Americans. Let them know that we have better choices. Let them know that we can actually put a dividend of $1,000 a month in the hands of every American adult if enough of us get together and make that choice. And after the debate, after Bernie put his arm around me and then we finished the debate, the next day I met with Martin Luther King III. And he told me that his dad's vision was of an economic foundation for all Americans. This is what he was fighting for when he was assassinated in 1968. And Yang Gang, we have a chance to make Martin Luther King's vision real right now in 2020. It is 52 years later. It should have happened decades ago, but we are going to make it happen right now. So how the heck do we do it? Logistics. That's right. So thanks to you all, we are growing in Q4. We're gonna put up a bigger number than $10 million this quarter, that's for sure, thanks to you all. And where is that money going to go? It's going to go to advertisements in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina. Truthfully, no, it's true. Any money you give, you should just know that that money is going directly to a TV station or radio station or even newspaper in one of those 4 states. Because those are the logistics of running for president. But when I looked at all this, I said, wait a minute, this is not that hard. This is completely doable. For all of the media noise, all it takes for us to move the entire arc of history, to give our country a new way forward, is convince 50,000 Iowans that $1,000 a month for each American is a good idea. Do you think we can do that? Yeah! All it takes is 50,000 Iowans for us to win that state, and I'd love to see them try and omit me from the graphics then. That is going to be a really odd-looking graphic. You can see it right now. They'll be like, in second place, this person, in third place, this person, in fourth place, this person. And people are like, what happened to first place? We're like, oh, let's just talk about that. Let's look at these interesting crosstabs from the fourth place finisher. These are the kind of headlines that we can make happen if we get 50,000 Iowans on board. That's where all the resources of the campaign are going. Each Iowan's worth his or her weight in gold. And you can look up and you can say, hey, that's a weird system we've got. But this is the system we've got. The Iowans are the lever. I'm going to be spending 5 days in Iowa next week on a bus that some of you made possible. Thank you, Yang Gang. And I have to say, as excited as I am to get back to Iowa next week, I'm most excited that Evelyn's going to be joining me on their bus for part of the tour. Thank you, Yang. I'll make sure Evelyn gets the message. We'll get that video snippet, we'll play it for her, for sure. So we've got the ground game in Iowa, we've got the bus tour, we've got people heading to Iowa every day, every weekend, moving there, dropping everything and heading there because they know that that's where history will be made. We've got the air support in the form of TV ads all over the state. I can't tell you what a delight it was to be in New Hampshire this week. First time that I asked this question and then a whole slew of hands went up. And the question was this: how many of you saw the TV ads and came here because of the TV ads? I've never gotten to ask that question before. And a whole bunch of hands went up, and then you say, oh yeah, it's working. That's a beautiful feeling. That wasn't the Gangland Summit like this one. That was a bunch of Yang Curious coming in being like, oh, TV ads, this person seems interesting. I'll go head over to the local meeting hall. It wasn't called a meeting hall. It was called a meeting hall. It certainly wasn't a giant, gorgeous venue like this one either. So that's a very different experience for us. That's us getting people who are on the fence or just checking it out or just interested in doing their civic duty as Americans. And I have to say the conversion rate at those meetings was really, really good. It's really high. It's because of the power of our message. It's the power of our ideas. We have a clearer sense of the problems on the ground that are making our people miserable and a clearer sense of real solutions that would actually help every single day. And you can almost see, again, the light bulbs going off in their heads. They say, wait a minute, we can actually vote for that and make that happen? Oh yeah, we can. And I say, oh yeah, it's not a new idea, it's not an Andrew Yang idea. I walk through the history with Thomas Paine and Martin Luther King and Milton Friedman and sometimes I throw Elon Musk in there if they seem like they're really in the future. And then I say there's nothing stopping a majority of citizens in a democracy from declaring ourselves a dividend. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. And you can see them saying to themselves, wow, they're right. And the great thing about being in a place like Iowa and New Hampshire is they're kind of used to having this power. You know what I mean? It's like they just go and then, yeah, it must be nice is what he said. So step one is we have to move the voters in Iowa and New Hampshire over to our side. And I have to say, I've been going to each of these states every month for the last 22 months, and the energy has never been higher, the crowds have never been bigger, the enthusiasm has never been more palpable. So we can do it. Oh, we can do it.
You're gonna turn Texas blue!
Yes. And next will be your turn because you all are part of Super Tuesday, and I guarantee that this race will still be up for grabs when you guys have your say. It's going to be a different experience here in Texas because you are not accustomed to choosing the President of the United States. But 2020, you're going to get a chance to do just that. This race is going to be completely unsettled, and if you make our case to your friends and neighbors and family here in Texas, I think we can shock the world here in Texas. What do you think? I think we're going to do really well in California. Super Tuesday could be a great day for the Yang Gang. But in order for us to get there, we have to fight it out in the early states. I don't know how many, well, most of you, if you raise your hands, you're not that into politics. Like, you don't understand how each of these contests sort of builds on each other. What happens is you have Iowa vote, and then you have 8 days until New Hampshire votes. And then during those 8 days, they just talk nonstop about what happened in the last race. So if you think of it as like a relay race where there's like a baton, it's like Texas is here waiting for the baton like this, you're like really fast. You got this cool stance going. I'm not even sure I can do it right. Wait, let me try. It'll be like this. It'll be like... But we have to get the baton to you all. And I have to say, it's not going to happen without us fighting like mad to make that happen. How many of you are interested in coming to Iowa and knocking on some doors in the next number of days and weeks? Yeah, if you come, you will find some incredible Yang Gang just like yourselves who come in from all over the country to head into, frankly, the relatively cold. So if you do decide to come, Texas, freaking bundle up. You know, get that heavy coat. You might even need a new coat. Like, what you think of as a heavy coat might not do it. What's that?
Once every 10
You get
years.
blizzards in Texas too?
What's a
No, I don't want to scare you off of going to Iowa, so I'm going to stop you there. We're celebrating New Year's Eve in New Hampshire, and that should be a lot of fun. It's going to be Yang Gang, New Hampshire. So if you can't make it in Canvas, and I totally get it why you couldn't. I've got a family and all that jazz too. It's unusual for someone to be able to just like throw things aside and head to Iowa. But you can phone bank, you can text bank, you can reach out in various ways to people in the early states. And know, as soon as you tip someone over in one of those early states, it's monumental. Because if that person gets activated, they put up a yard sign in their lawn in Iowa or New Hampshire, then their friends and neighbors look up. And not only is that individual person magical, all of their friends and neighbors are magical. We have to get you all the baton, Texas. That's the logistics. If you walk away enthused after tonight, that's tremendous, but we need you to act. Are you willing to act, Yang Gang? We need you to dig deep because we've got 7 weeks to make poverty a memory. Are you with me? This campaign is about restoring a sense of what is possible to our country. Most of our fellow Americans have their heads down. They're just laboring, trying to make it through month to month. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the idealism and the optimism and the vision that brought you all here today. And it is those qualities that the rest of our country needs. The more we win, the more we excel, the more heads come up and they realize that we actually can do better for ourselves, that we can rewrite the rules of the 21st century economy to work for us and our people. But the same energy and optimism and passion that brought you here, we need to work over the next 7 weeks to get that baton to the Iowans and then to the people in New Hampshire and then the people in Nevada and then South Carolina and then right back here in Texas. And I want you all to imagine the headlines on February 4th when Andrew Yang wins Iowa. What are the Hawking heads gonna say then? You know, that is the headline that we can fight for. We can make it happen. I know it, I see it, because I've seen what we're up against, frankly. We're up against... And this is not a knock on the other candidates, so much as it is a knock on the machinery. You know, I gotta say, you go to other campaigns events, they do not look like this. They do not feel like this. There's an energy and a humanity. This is so unique to this campaign that the other candidates have looked upon it and not even been able to recognize it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It is that spirit that has the potential to lift millions of our fellow Americans' heads up so they can see the same vision that we see. The American people are a sleeping giant, and the Yang Gang is the smelling salts. Am I right? So the logistics ahead, we got to fight it out in Iowa. So to the extent that you have, how many of you all have friends in Iowa? Well, that's pretty awesome. I know you might not have talked to them in a while, but you might want to reach out and be like, hey, it's been a few years. Can I talk to you about Andrew Yang? Ask you about Andrew Yang, that's right. But we need you to take a concrete step towards activating people in the early states. If you don't know any of the early states, it's cool. You know, just donate a couple bucks and then know that those couple bucks will go straight to advertisements to the people who are going to be the lever of history. And if we get you the baton, Texas, I have to say, if we do our job before it gets to you, we are going to win the whole thing hands down. If this is a contest of ideas, yes we will, 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 yes we will. Oh yeah, we can win this whole thing, no doubt about it. I remember the first time I realized it. It was during a cattle call in South Carolina. It was like me and all the other candidates. We were all in like a holding area. I gotta say, it was some weird shit. So we're all in this holding area, and then you were supposed to speak for 60 seconds, but of course, like everyone threw that out the window, and you're all wearing. You were all asked to wear like a bright blue t-shirt over whatever you were wearing. So it was like everyone, yeah, it was the Clyburn fish fry, that's right. And so the candidates come out and the South Carolinians there, you know, they weren't that hardcore, I suppose. Like, you know, they were just sort of observing. And so each candidate comes up, does their thing, they speak, and then they get this certain thing in reaction. And then like I come up and South Carolina, this like Yang Gang starts chanting like Andrew Yang, like the rest of it, and then I give my thing and they knew everything I was gonna say. And then I ended at that point, it was like Asian man who likes math, crowd goes wild. Yeah. And then I walked back off the stage and the other candidates looked at me like, what the heck was that? And that was when I knew, oh, we can win this whole thing. Some of the other campaigns, what they have is bags of money. And if you have bags of money versus the best of humanity, I will take the best of humanity every day of the week. They're going to find out what the limits of money are, that's for sure. And you know what? We are going to find out, Yang Gang, we're going to find out what the limits of people are. And they're going to find that there are no limits to what people can do if enough of us get together and say, this is the vision that we want for our country. You all know that I'm running for president not because I have some deep native desire to be president of the United States, honestly. Just like those who had your hands up earlier, I actually have something of like a moderate distaste for politics in general. How many of you all are parents like me? Yes, I'm running for president so that we can actually look our kids in the eyes and be proud of the country we are leaving to them. And there are a lot of young people here in the audience tonight. I am ashamed of the country we are leaving to your generation. Any older American of conscience shares my shame because we have left you an awful mess. Not just climate change, though that alone would be enough. Not just the fact that college has gotten 2.5 times more expensive if you're lucky enough to go to college. Not just that we've kicked aside all of these ladders of these secure careers that used to exist and then pretend they still exist, and then send you out in the world, and if you struggle, we somehow pretend it is your fault. There's a reason why we have record high levels of mental illness, anxiety, depression, stress, even drug overdoses and suicides in this country. And it's particularly prevalent among young people. Did you just ask how about weed? So I'm wondering, does he mean that we have record high levels of consumption of weed? I do want to legalize weed. What do you think of that, Yang Gang? Not only do I want to legalize it, but I want to pardon everyone who's in jail for a nonviolent marijuana-related offense. And I will high-five them all on the way out of jail on April 20th, 2021. And they will say, wow, things really got better after I was in jail. I come out. There's an Asian guy high-fiving me, letting me out of jail, and I'm gonna get $1,000 a month. Why are we always pardoning these weird, rich, well-connected types? I want to pardon people who should not have been in jail in the first place. I would leave the rich, weird, well-connected type in jail because he probably belongs there. So the young people know that we have left you an awful mess, and it is my mission to clean it up for you. But I need your help. We all need your help. We cannot clean up this mess without you all. The fact that we don't acknowledge just how much of a disaster zone we have left you, to me, strikes me as deeply immoral, deeply dishonest. It's one reason why, unfortunately, Donald Trump became our president. Donald Trump became our president because he got some of the problems right. Remember, he said he was going to make America great again, and what did Hillary Clinton say in response? America's already great. And that did not work. We have to acknowledge the depth and severity of the problems. I just gave an interview to Rolling Stone, and I cited Hillary Clinton, and this was rough. Hillary Clinton said she won the parts of the country that account for 2/3 of all of the economic activity. And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? You know? She was like, I won the places that were economically prosperous. And it's like, so... it struck me as such a strange lens, a strange framing. This is why, to me, so many people feel like the Democrats aren't fighting for the working man or woman anymore. When I was growing up, the Democratic Party was the party of the working class. You would never think it's like, oh, I won the economically prosperous area. It's like, can you imagine a Democrat 50 years ago busting that stuff out? It'd be like that person would probably be pelted with, whatever people had handy. Hopefully tomatoes or something soft and mushy. That's good fun. Whoa, what was that? It's my bass line. Oh, those Russians always trying to keep me down. Yeah. I will have that call and say, sorry, I beat your guy. So the problems are real, and they need equally real solutions. First, we're going to put $1,000 a month in the hands of every American adult. And for anyone who thinks that we don't have the money, I just say, are you kidding me? Do you remember voting for the $4 trillion bailout of Wall Street 10 years ago? No, none of us voted for that. Do you remember someone asking, where are we going to get the money? No. And this time, when the money comes into our hands, we know we'll actually put it to good use. This is going to be the trickle-up economy because it's going to go right into local businesses, daycare, car repairs, school loans, the occasional night out, small businesses, nonprofits. Bucks, trickle up. And we can start to value the sort of work that Evelyn does at home every day, the work that caregivers do every day, the work that nurturers do every day, the work that artists do every day. These are the things that will actually move our country forward. We are getting bogged down. You know, I had this conversation with Evelyn where I talked about how mainstream the guaranteed minimum income was in the 60s when 1,000 economists endorsed it, and it almost passed the U.S. House twice in '71, and it almost became law. And she said, what the heck happened to the United States in the last 50 years that now it seems like it has to be like the far out futurist Asian man being like $1,000 a month. And then people are like, ha ha ha, like, oh, that's fantastical, or something like that. And so she's like, what happened in the last 50 years where Martin Luther King and everything else? And I believe I know what happened, Dallas, that we all got collectively brainwashed to think that economic value and human value were the same things, you know what I mean? And you can see it in so many little ways where even for those of us, how many of you all are entrepreneurs like me? Even those, and I love entrepreneurship, but you can sense there are all of these things that are double-edged swords where it's like embrace the hustle and like brand of you and like constantly reinvent yourself and like a bunch of other stuff that makes it seem like we're all economic actors, you know, like we're all like just like fighting all of the time. Wearing 20 hats, doesn't value the most important things in our lives, the things that actually connect us to each other. And I'm guilty of it too, in many, many ways. Like I've been guilty of it many, many times where, you know, it's like you see yourself as like this agent of just getting things done. And then of getting things done, and it's like, and then you get attracted to the things that actually pay you as opposed to the things that don't pay you. I pretty much just summed up what's gone wrong with our political system, pretty much, you know, because people just keep gravitating towards what's paying them and ignoring what's not paying them. And that's happened at the very, very highest levels of our government. That's how what was mainstream 50 years ago now seems too good to be true. In many ways, what we are doing is we're waking people up to the fact that we have intrinsic value independent of what the market says. That the market thinks that my autistic little boy has no value and I know different. That we have to reassert our knowledge that we are more than what the market says, especially now because the market's about to turn on us in unprecedented ways. I've been saying to folks, look, when the robot trucks come, it doesn't matter if the trucker is hardworking and conscientious or the opposite. The robot truck's gonna just keep on driving past both of them. It doesn't matter if the radiologist was really diligent. The AI can see shades of gray on the film that the human eye cannot. That if we persist in thinking that this is a meritocracy and that it's all about your own individual hard work and character and competence and the decisions you made, we are going to tear each other apart. We are going to destroy each other. That's what's happened to us over the last 50 years, but I believe that we can swing the pendulum the other way, not in 50 years, in 7 weeks. What do you think? That's the mission. We got to show them what we've got, Dallas. We got to show them what we got, Yang Gang. We have to show them what people can do. Are you with me? We're going to let this whole country know it's not about us versus them. It's not about left or right. It's forward. And that is where you are going to take this country in 2020. Thank you, Yang Gang. I love you so much. Let's do it. Let's fight. Let's fight. And then let's win. Thank you. Mayor Zach Roman.
What's up, guys?
Dallas, we freaking love you.